Hello, and thanks for joining me for a discussion of new Maryland Realtors forms prepared for 2019. These forms are pretty straightforward. I will discuss them and provide some tips. If you have specific questions about a form, please contact the Maryland Realtors Legal Hotline. Also, for a discussion of changes to existing forms, please review the revised forms for 2019 video. I'll start with the buyer pre-settlement walkthrough form. This form was created to facilitate the walkthrough referenced in paragraph 22 of the residential contract of sale. As you know, that provision allows a buyer to inspect the property within 5 days prior to settlement. Practice tip. The form does enable the buyer to note any exceptions and gives the seller the opportunity to respond to the exceptions noted by the buyer. The second new form is the walkthrough form for lease transactions. The form facilitates the walkthrough on both the date of check-in and the date of check-out, and enables the parties to note the condition of the property at these times. Practice tip. Though the form includes space to note any exceptions, it is not intended to be an agreement to repair any unsatisfactory conditions. It is a report of the current condition of the property. The next form is the change in terms addendum. This form was created to cover those provisions of the contract the parties modify most often. The goal is to reduce the number of occasions wherein the parties would need to use a blank addendum. With this form, the parties can change the price, the settlement date, and the financing. There's also a fourth option titled Other, where the parties may write in whatever change they want to make. Practice tip. The changes are not binding unless both parties agree. All other terms and conditions of the contract remain in full force and effect. Next is the Referral Agreement. This form was created to facilitate a compensation agreement for referrals. There's a provision that allows the referring agent to fill in their information, one for the receiving agent to fill in their information, and a provision to enable the referring agent to explain the client's needs. The parties negotiate the compensation, which is left blank. There is also a section that specifies when payment will be made. Practice tip. The agreement is not binding unless both the referring broker and the receiving broker sign it. Finally, there is the water yield test addendum. You'll notice the language is very similar to what you see in the water quality addendum. Practice tip. The water yield test is to be ordered and paid for by the buyer. Well, there you have it. This concludes my discussion of new Maryland Realtors forms for 2019. If you have any questions whatsoever, please contact Maryland Realtors Legal Hotline. Thank you very much for tuning in. Take care.